Some conflicts feel like they've just always been there, right? Like they're a permanent part of the world. But the thing is, every single conflict, no matter how long it's been going on, has a starting point. Today, we're going to rewind the clock on one of the toughest struggles of our time to figure out how the modern version of it all began.
And this, right here, is the question that's at the very heart of it all. For 2,000 years, the Jewish people dreamed of returning to their ancestral homeland. But when that dream finally started to look like a reality in the 20th century, it kicked off one of the most difficult, most tangled geopolitical problems we have today. So how on earth did we get here?
All right, so to understand the modern state of Israel, we don't actually start in ancient times. Nope, we start in the 20th century, during the incredible chaos of the World Wars. This was a time when old empires were literally crumbling, new countries were being born, and the whole world map was being redrawn by a few major powers.
And a huge piece of this puzzle is the Balfour Declaration. Now, you got to understand, this wasn't just a friendly promise from Britain during World War I. It was a strategic power play. See, Britain was fighting the Ottoman Empire, which controlled Palestine. So by promising to support a Jewish national home there, they were hoping to rally Jewish support for their side of the war. This was massive. It was the first time a global superpower officially backed the idea of Zionism, turning a long-held dream into a real political possibility.
And then World War II happened. 6 million. That number, it's almost impossible to comprehend. That's the estimated number of Jewish men, women, and children who were systematically murdered in the Holocaust. This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a civilization-shattering event that completely changed the global conversation about the need for a Jewish state.
Exactly. The sheer horror of the Holocaust created this undeniable moral urgency. After the war, when the world saw the full extent of what had happened, the argument for a safe haven, a state where Jewish people could be secure, became incredibly powerful. The tragedy was so immense, it basically forced the world's hand. It became a moral imperative to find a solution.
Okay, so World War II is over and Britain is getting ready to end its control over Palestine. The whole complicated, messy problem gets dropped right in the lap of the brand new United Nations. And its job? Figure out a permanent solution by drawing some lines on a map.
So what would you do? I mean, think about it. You've got competing historical claims, a population that already lives there, and a people who have just survived a genocide and desperately need a home. What could the UN possibly propose? Well, the answer came in the form of a map and a vote.
And here it is, the 1947 UN Partition Plan. Let's break this down because the details here are absolutely critical. The plan split the land into two states. The Jewish state was given about 57% of the land, and that included the best, most fertile coastal areas. The Arab state got about 43%, which was mostly the more rugged, arid land. But, and this is the kicker, at the time the Jewish population was the minority, so the UN was proposing to give the larger, more valuable piece of land to the smaller group of people.
So, how did this go over? Well, the reactions were polar opposites. Jewish leaders accepted it. It wasn't perfect, but hey, it was a path to having their own country, to finally having security. But Arab leaders and the neighboring Arab nations, they rejected it completely. To them, it felt like an act of colonialism, foreign powers coming in, giving away the majority of their land, and just totally ignoring their right to determine their own future. So you've got a yes from one side and a hard no from the other. That's not exactly a recipe for peace, is it? Instead of bringing a solution, the UN's plan basically lit the fuse. The declaration of a new state didn't lead to a peaceful two-state reality. It led to war, almost immediately.
And things escalated fast. I mean, look at this. On May 14, 1948, Israel officially declares its independence. And the very next day, a coalition of Arab armies invades. The first Arab-Israeli war had begun. And that was just the start. Over the next 30 years, there would be 5 major wars that would cement Israel's existence, for sure, but also completely reshape the region.
So what was the end result of all this? A nation, Israel, was literally forged in the fires of conflict. But the very wars that ensured its survival also created a massive refugee crisis, displacing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and laying the foundation for the deep, ongoing struggle over land, identity, and nationhood that we still see today. A state was born, but peace definitely was not.
And if you want to see a perfect, powerful symbol of this whole conflict, you just have to look at this one spot in Jerusalem. Right there, you have the Western Wall, the absolute holiest place for Jewish people to pray. And sitting literally right on top of it is the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, one of the most sacred sites in all of Islam. This physical overlap, this intertwining, it's a living, breathing metaphor for the entire conflict. two peoples with incredibly deep and competing claims to the exact same piece of land. And so that brings us full circle. A dream that lasted 2,000 years finally came true, born out of the chaos of world wars and the ashes of an unbelievable tragedy. But the fulfillment of that dream, for one people, started a whole new chapter of pain and struggle for another. And that struggle remains one of the most difficult, most permanent-seeming problems in the entire world.
When you look back at all these turning points, it's pretty overwhelming. So I want to ask you, what do you think was the single most critical moment? Was it the political promise from the British in the Balfour Declaration? Was it the moral push after the Holocaust? Or was it the way the UN drew those specific lines on the map? I'm genuinely curious to hear your take. Drop a comment below and let me know.
Hey, if this breakdown helped make a little more sense of a really complex topic, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. We love digging into the big issues that shape our world, and we'll be back with another explainer soon. Thanks so much for watching.